Hi, everybody. This is Chris,
Hey, this is Matt.
and this time we're going to talk about TIE Fighter. Uh,
Yeah,
a lot, I think, this time.
yeah, I was surprised. Like when you said we're gonna do Tie Fighter, I was like, well, what is there to talk about? I mean, you're flying around in a Tie Fighter, but there is a surprising amount of depth to this game.
And when I said TIE Fighter, I was basically looking for an action game to kind of chop it up a little bit. I wasn't ready for how many notes we came back with on this game.
I think when I remember playing Tie Fighter as a kid, I don't remember all the depth because I don't think I played it at a deep level. I think I did just fly around and blast bad guys, and I probably never got very far or did very much in it. Uh, but now that I'm like a grown up and responsible kind of, and like, I want to please the Empire, so I'm like, I gotta do all this stuff that he's telling me to do. So yeah, it was really surprising how much there was to this game.
When we were picking between X-Wing and TIE Fighter, and you're like, let's do TIE Fighter over X-Wing. I was like, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to finish this. Because I remember why I didn't finish playing the first time was I had a problem shooting X-Wings. I had a
Right?
problem being the bad guy. And I'm like, okay, well, gonna have to get over it.
Yeah. After Dungeon Keeper, it shouldn't have been a big
You
big
would
deal.
think for me, but no, I sort of always had a problem with that. Let me get this spinning up here and going. Turn
Yeah,
off
this guy,
the.
I like this guy. The enter
Yeah.
your name pilot guy.
Yeah.
You didn't name your guy your name pilot. That's what you're supposed to do.
I didn't think of it. I'll get it
Yeah.
next time. Um, so yeah,
So
I like that the menu system is part of the whole thing. That it's
yeah,
not treated like a menu. You know what I mean?
right. You're like you didn't really go through a lot of it, but there's like a whole concourse and there's different areas of the concourse you can go. That's really cool.
Yeah. No, I picked up in the middle. I needed a run long enough that I think is going to let us have enough time to cover everything we're going to talk about. And even now, I'm skeptical as to whether it's enough. Um,
Yeah, like you're late in the game here. I can tell because I have no recollection of doing this.
this is still Battle of Hoth, so I think it's one of the last of the first tour.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
okay. Oh, yeah. Maybe I just don't remember. This is you're doing an assault gunboat mission, so
yeah.
it's really cool that there's a good variety of ships that you can fly. And the gunboat, which was your favorite ship to fly?
Uh, TIE Advanced.
Yeah, yeah. That's the best answer because
It's
it
really,
does everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I still liked flying the TIE Fighter.
Yeah. Right. It's surprisingly fun.
Mm-hmm. Even without shields. I mean, you feel vulnerable,
Right.
but
Th- that was strange to me. Like without shields because it feels like you're doing great. Like everything's going really well. You're blasting guys, and the dude comes on the radio and he's like, great job, Alpha One, and he sounds kind of like your dad, and
yeah.
like you feel good about yourself. And then all of a sudden it's like, boop, oh nope, I got shot once, I'm dead. Like it just happens. It's not like, oh, this is starting to go bad.
No, no,
You're
no.
lucky. The little red light will show up on your
Hmm.
targeting thing when you're being targeted right before you get killed, if you're lucky.
You feel like
But you're in a gunboat now, so you have
I can.
shields and
Yeah.
ion cannons, which is
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah. Did you use the ion cannons much?
I love to shoot dudes with the ion
Really?
cannons. Yeah, because they disable the enemy ship, so they just have to sit there until you decide to kill them, which I really like.
I was like, nah, fuck these guys. I'm not capturing them.
It
We're getting
seems to be more efficient to me to use the ion cannons than the lasers for some reason.
against the shields. It is. I know
Yeah,
that for sure. Like the ion cannons will just tear through shields, and so a couple times when I was having trouble, I'd switch it up. But otherwise, if I wasn't told to capture something specifically, I just blasted them.
How did the missiles make you feel in this game?
I wasn't ready for the question.
Well, to me, they're like such a mixed bag because it seems like they're pretty easy to dodge.
Yeah.
Right? Especially the photon torpedoes. Like, you know, unless you shoot while you're right next to them, the photon torpedoes aren't that great. And the concussion missiles are pretty easy to dodge as well.
I don't know that I had many dodge them though. Once I got the red lock and fired, it was just fire and forget, and I could be on my way with things. But,
but they're pretty easy to dodge when they're coming at you, I found.
yes, in fact, you can shoot them out, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's spacebar to target incoming missile, and then you can actually shoot the missiles out. So for me, I liked that I could shoot the missiles out. I thought that was awesome. That's a nice twist on it. And then...
Oh, yep, you're in a jam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I like the red lights on top of the targeting receptacle there, kind of show you if you're being targeted, if people have a lock on you, and if a missile is coming at you.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
You crashed. I crashed into a lot of different craft in TIE Fighter, just like all the time. Yeah. And these guys, I like that these guys will give you tips.
Yes.
After you are clearly incompetent, they'll
right?
give you here's what you should have done.
Mm-hmm.
You should have not crashed into that guy.
Yeah, that guy you hit. Don't do that next time. Here, get back out there. That is one of the things about this game that made it okay, is how fast it gets you back in the action.
Right. I'm going to tell you the thing that blew me away the most about TIE Fighter, and I don't know why I found this so incredible, but after you die, it places your cursor exactly where it needs to be on every menu system.
I didn't
it
notice
knows
that.
exactly what you want to do. I love that because I've got my joystick out and my mouse is like somewhere else. So it's really nice not to have to.
I didn't notice that. That's a nice small touch.
Yeah, it's like the UI design for
really top notch. For a game that like I wasn't looking forward to playing, I'm so happy with it. I could recommend this today, even with the graphics. I mean, if we're looking at it here, yeah, it's a little pixely in the dashboard and stuff, and it is primitive 3D, but they're starships, so who cares?
Right, they look fine.
Yeah. You're not...
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, you're not hating any part of it.
Right. The only time I was like, oh, these graphics are killing me is doing the first I started on the 1995 version, the non-enhanced version.
Yeah.
And I tried to do the obstacle course. And there's times in the obstacle course where you have to fly through these like rotating like holes, kind of. And when you get really close to them, it gets really hard to tell what's what because there's no shading. You don't really...
No.
So that's the only time I was like, oh, these graphics, I don't think I can do it. And I never went back to do it again in the 1998 version, the enhanced version.
No.
So it might have been better, but I don't know.
I don't think it was much better. Yeah, it was their attempt to give you something to learn to fly through, and it's okay, but it does look weirdish.
Yeah. Oh, geez, you're just soldiering on here, getting shot.
Yeah, we're probably gonna watch me blow up a lot. I think this is my first real mine mission, and it took me a while to figure out what the mines were doing and how to deal with them. Which was the other really big surprise in this game, is how tactical combat is.
Right.
That it isn't just fly in there, shoot stuff up, dodge all the... Because, like, I don't know how many... You can't count how many laser shots are going across.
Right. Yeah, it's insane.
In front of me. And you needed a strategy before you got to this part, and now, because I didn't have one, I'm gone. So...
Yeah. Yep, there you died again. I
Yeah.
like that hooded cloak guy. He's so the deal is that you like have your mission objectives,
Yeah.
which the uniformed guy gives you, and then you kind of get your secondary objectives from the hooded figure who represents like the Emperor's secret
Right.
order and missions and stuff. Which on paper is really cool. Like I
Hmm.
like the idea that there's you know
Right.
two like layers here. You're flying your missions, and then you're also doing all this top secret cloak and dagger shit for the Emperor. But almost everything he gives you is just inspecting containers, and that
Yep.
drove me bonkers. I
Yeah.
hated that, and I don't even object to inspecting containers. Like
No.
whatever, you just fly really close to them and you inspect them.
Yeah.
But it seemed wasted because, I mean, there's all
No.
this like great potential, and then it's just like, well, oh, also inspect a couple containers.
Right. We like a real easy potential would have been we found that Ty Bravo 2 is actually a rebel sympathizer, so if he could have an accident while he's out there, that'd have been a
Right.
great submission that'd make you feel like, okay, my commanding officer can't know that I'm going to bump this guy off.
Right,
And
and there's a tiny hint of that where I am in the game, where you wind up having to fight some TIE Advance and TIE fighters.
yeah.
But for the most part, it's just like all this intrigue, but then at the end of the day, you're just inspecting containers.
Hmm. It is a missed opportunity. It's one of the few missed opportunities in the game, but where I will give it points is it adds. There are like several levels to how much you want to do in each mission. So there's the main mission, which is what the guy in the uniform gives you. There's sometimes a sub mission where the guy in the robes will give you. And then sometimes there's a secret mission on top of that that neither one will tell you, and you just have to find on your own.
Yeah, yeah, that is really cool.
That is really cool that there's even missions no one's going to tell you, and you just have to sort of stumble on them and look for them and go. It gets you to go back and play it again and play it again and
Yeah.
still find it interesting.
Yeah, if you're a completist, there's a lot here for you to do.
If you're a completist, plan on spending some time. I'm put it in our notes on this. There's 13 tours, each with 5 to 6 missions. That's
Right.
and each mission taking half an hour. So, almost 40 hours of straight flight time if you don't screw up, and you will screw up. So,
Right. Yeah, and the thing, like when we played like Questron or a lot of these other games, I would find myself like I'm gonna sit down and play whatever game we're playing, and then I'd find myself wrapped up in it for a couple hours.
mhm.
But with TIE Fighter, it was different because it seemed like I didn't want to play it for these super long periods of time, and I don't know if that's because it is slightly repetitive or if it's just like I don't know why that was, but I didn't find myself like dumping
Binging on it.
continuous hours. But I played it all the time. Like, well, I guess I'll do another mission in TIE Fighter.
It has good stopping spots. Questron
Right.
doesn't have a good moment
That's
of
exactly what it is.
this is
Yeah.
where it is. You finish a mission in this, or you fail a mission in this, and you're able to go, okay, I need a break now. You have this nice moment of pause.
Yeah.
And you know the game will wait.
Right. And there's not a long story where you get wrapped up in it, really. I mean, there's stories around the battles and the missions and
Yeah.
stuff, but there's not like this compelling advancement. Like you don't level up, you don't get new. I mean, you get the TIE Advance later in the game,
Yeah.
but you don't get new skills or anything,
No, it's completely you. There's no roleplay stuff tagged on. There's no skill set. It's just, here's your craft, here's your mission orders, go
Right.
achieve them. And the other thing when I was talking about the missions, like the layers to it, sometimes the only way you can achieve the mission is to disobey the instructions. which there were a couple missions where the only way I could do it, they're like, okay, I want you to take out these fighters first, then go for these other fighters. I'm like, I
Right.
can't do that and do your mission. I
Right.
have to let my people take care of them and go handle this other thing. And that sort of personal judgment in the game I found really interesting.
Yeah, the thing that struck me the most when I started to play this again, excuse me, was that this is not an action game. Like this is a real simulation, and there have not been any other Star Wars simulations that I know of since this series of games.
No.
They're all action games.
Yep.
But there's tons of depth. There's managing your systems, managing your targets, managing your objectives. It is a full-on, like, what it would probably be like to fly one of these ships.
And I don't know, you said Star Wars games, I don't know many other games since then. Take Star Wars off that analogy. Like, I bought Elite Dangerous hoping I'd get this. And I can see where Elite borrowed from this. But if I, like, okay, you're going to a desert island and you're picking either Elite or TIE Fighter, I'm bringing TIE Fighter with me.
Yeah. Right.
It's just, there's more tactics to it. It's more fun to play. The dogfighting's better. I don't know. It holds up against modern games, which is surprising that nobody else has decided to put this level of attention into it.
Yeah, I wonder if people just don't want that. I want that. Like,
right.
I loved, like, for example, just the targeting options in this game. Like, you can target someone, you can target the closest person to you, you can target who's targeting you, and then you can target something and target what's targeting the target.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot.
Well, and you might not have gotten to this and where they eventually tell you need to start doing stuff like this, but you can target subsystems on your target.
Right. You can shoot out the cannons and
shoot out their engines. To me, the capital ships are so much fun doing a strafing run along the ship and blowing up the cannons on the ship as you go.
Yeah, that's great. Like, that's what makes this game special. It's not that you're flying around in space, blasting dudes. It's that you're doing things like that and using all those systems when you need to, but they're not. There's no one telling you have to do it.
No.
Either.
And you can brute force through in certain other ways, and you can call for reinforcements, and you can get as finessed as you want, but it is forgiving if you're not super good at this sort of thing. What difficulty were you playing on? Do you remember?
Just normal.
Normal, okay. Because normal, same thing. But I noticed there were like even easier difficulties. And I had a couple missions that were frustrating. It took me a while to pull off, but not many, not often. It was sort of... There's another one of my few complaints about this, is there is no slow ramp up of difficulty. It's a ramp and then a wall and then a chasm and then another ramp, and you never really know what any mission's gonna be.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that or hate that, because in a real tour, you're getting all these different types of things and different types of missions, and there is not necessarily going to be a nice steady pace. But in a game, maybe there should be.
Yeah, there were missions where I was like, whoa, that was super easy. But then you're right, the next mission will be just outrageously difficult. To me, the hardest thing is when you're going against incoming fighters, that first time when you're like approaching each other, that's where I die the most. The initial contact with the enemy, because they're like coming right at you.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, if you aren't ready to get out of the way of the fire the moment they open it up, they're going to tear you up. Mm-hmm. Which is why I usually hit the brakes and let my people go forward.
Yeah, let your people. That's a nice way of putting it.
Tell me how it works. Oh, there they are. Okay, speeding up.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not my wingman.
No, absolutely. You don't want me as your wingman. Some missions, one of the easiest ways for me to eventually beat them was to figure out where they warped in and just be sitting behind them
Hmm.
for when they dropped out of light speed and just tearing them up as they popped into the map.
Yeah.
Which is a bit cheesy, but I'm okay with that.
Hey, if it works.
Well,
It does feel a little scripted too. Some of the missions, because they always happen exactly the same way. I know there's, it's from 1995. I can't
yeah,
expect more, but it does feel like at first anyway. This chain of events is very scripted, and you can
yeah,
sense like when the shuttles are going to come out, uh, and it's always going to be the same. But that's okay.
yeah.
The enemy AI doesn't feel scripted, but I have a feeling like if you followed one guy around, you would realize how scripted it is. But there's usually so much going on, you
Right.
don't really notice.
I have decided to make me super large in here. Let me shrink this back up. There we go. I was trying to search for something in our notes and accidentally resized my camera.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah. I'll maximize you sometime. Maybe.
No, don't.
No, I'm trying to remember. Was it level 7-1 I said? Mission 7-1 can eat a bag of dicks. Yeah. So...
I didn't make it that far, so you're gonna have to tell me, man, you are just sucking.
Yeah, no. There are some missions that I just tried again and again and again and again and again. If this is the end of the Hoth mission, like level 1-6, tour 1 mission 6 took me 2 days. It was the hardest mission for me to finish. I don't know what my problem was. I don't know why I couldn't do it. But I spent 2 days of just throwing myself against that wall and thinking, maybe I don't even finish the first tour for this. I was having a good time, but maybe this is as far as I'm going to get. And then had a breakthrough and kept going.
Anyway, you were saying, I'm sorry.
Yeah, tour 7-1. You're trying to defend your ship against some other capital ships that are coming for it. And that's sort of what it's telling you to do. These other capital ships are coming to get your ship, defend your ship. So what would you take that as to mean you should do?
Probably hang around my ship and defend it.
But I mean, like, okay, you've got these other two capital ships. What's the best way to defend it against capital ships is to make them go away. Is to blow them up.
Attack them, yeah.
So I spent like 6 or 7 runs doing different things against the capital ship before I went in and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm changing my the concussion missiles they're giving me. I'm telling my wingmen to deal with the fighters, and I'm going straight for the capital ships. And dropped 8 proton torpedoes on one of the capital ships, and it didn't change the shields.
Wow.
They're in God mode. You can't destroy those ships.
Really?
It's the first time, Tour 7 is the first time I ever had something where they railroaded me and I couldn't just find my own way through. So that was the only time I was really disappointed, because I don't know how long I spent. Like, couldn't even shoot the guns off it. There was nothing I could do to touch these ships, and I'm like, oh, that's not what you want me to do.
Yeah, that's cheesy.
Yeah,
I agree. They shouldn't have done that.
But that's the only time. Like,
yeah,
that I played for a month and went through 35 missions and found one instance of you kind of tied my hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you use your wingmen a lot? I didn't do that.
Other than when I slowed down to let them go forward? No.
Yeah, other than hiding behind them while they give their lives to the Emperor.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, good. Me neither. But you can.
You can.
Like, that's another thing. And it seems to work when you do it.
Yeah, I think the only time I had to actually give them orders was to tell them to stop shooting something I was trying to capture.
Right. They like to do that.
This is mine.
Your shield management is negligent here.
Usually is.
My strategy for shields is to dump everything in cannons and then use I think it's like the quotation mark
Mm-hmm.
to manually redirect power from my lasers to my shields, because then you can like control when you know you're not going to be shooting, you can kind of dump into your shields and let your guns recharge.
I have a similar strategy because the guns do recharge a lot faster. But
Yeah, you're
I
doing
don't
it right here.
yeah, push them all the way up, get everything charged, just dump everything into the shields, and then I'll lower the shields back to normal and try and um that. But I actually found myself using more of the shields as my battery for my guns.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Especially one mission. I'm trying to remember what it is, but you have to catch a Corellian Corvette. You have to catch a Millennium Falcon, so you're not going to be fast enough unless none of your systems are recharging.
Yeah, there were a few times where I found myself not quite fast enough where I had to do things like that. But for the most part, engines were like the bottom priority, because
Yeah.
you can dodge pretty effectively in this game
Mm-hmm.
just by wiggling up and down.
Yep.
You know, which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and you said, like, you talked about using the quotation marks to do the shield management. I was surprised that I was able to take my brand new Thrustmaster that I got like a couple months ago for Elite and have it work out of the
Yeah.
box.
Right.
Just worked and didn't have to fight with it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time. Like when I started, I had like a controller,
Mm-hmm.
and after playing it for one day, I like got a joystick. So I would definitely say, if you
Yeah.
want to play this, because you don't feel like a badass. It's harder to pretend you're a badass with a controller.
No, with your thumbs?
Oh,
Yeah, no.
yeah. So you got to get a joystick with a bunch of buttons, as many buttons as you can get.
Yep.
That's my advice if you want to play TIE Fighter. But I spent a lot of time mapping out the functions I use the most
Yep.
onto joystick buttons.
Yeah.
But yeah, it works really well. I don't know what kind of magic that is.
No, and like expected the thrust not to work or there to be something like that where like it wouldn't handle the ease of things, but nope, right out of the box, everything just worked the way it was supposed to.
Did your throttle go in increments of 33%? Like
Yes.
mine did? That's okay.
Mhm.
I find myself using the match speed with target
I
button.
I was about to say the same thing. I put a button on my controller that lets me match speed to target, and that was fine.
The button mapping system is a little wonky.
Mhm.
Like it's I don't know. It seemed counterintuitive to me, but once you figure it out, it's definitely worth investing in mapping that stuff the way you want it to
Right.
be.
Getting a comfortable cockpit for yourself.
Yeah.
One of the other things I did to manage speed, actually, once I got the hang of things, was I would change my shield recharge rate because it would let me get different, levels between the 33%.
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
So
it's
manage the power instead of the speed.
right. It's a little fussy, but it works. So
Yeah, I found myself like trying to come to a complete stop a lot of times, because once you get behind someone, especially Y-wings, because Y-wings are so slow.
yeah,
So I'll just like, oh, I'm just gonna stop and shoot this jerk.
yeah,
It feels good, like when you're behind someone, and you can just like unload on them. I like
Yep.
that experience.
Switch to all forward fire and just.
Yep.
Or do you like when you're taking somebody out? Do you like the where it rotates around and keeps a steady fire, or do you like that solid bang bang? Because that's another neat thing about we talked about targeting on the people, but you can change your weapon fire rates.
Right. You can link them together. So I found myself linking my cannons together as much as I could, because otherwise I tend to just keep shooting and my cannons get worn down too quick. So I found I was more deliberate when I had them linked together.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
What did you do?
I actually kept the spray and pray for quite a bit of it. Only if I knew like I was just having a hard time targeting something, so when I made the shot, it had to count. Would I switch over to something like that? And if anyone had 4, I'd do like a double link, do that middle link, because that sort of was a nice balance. But
the TIE Advanced has 4 cannons, which I think is awesome.
yeah.
See, what you're not doing here is rebalancing your shields.
Yep.
Because your front is almost gone and your rear is looking like money.
Yep.
And I just want you to rebalance them, but you're not going to do it.
Nope.
I've learned that. Like,
I kind of wish I was playing it right now, because I'd just draw all the power out of my front shield just to annoy you.
That's basically what you're doing anyway, so you may as well just let it.
I just enjoy it.
Just fix it. I had a button for that on my joystick.
I did too, and I think by like mission 3, I started getting in the habit of it, because you can't just be clumsy anymore.
Yeah. These mines are particularly brutal too, so I can't fault you too much.
No. Well, and it took me a while to figure out like some of the mines were shooting missiles. Like that's yeah. Mines threw me off the first couple times I ran into them. Like, first, I didn't realize they fired at you. I thought they were mines. You run into them and they blow up. I'm like, oh, wait. They're firing? That's why I'm dying so quick. Okay, new strategy.
Yeah.
Where are all these missiles coming from? Oh, new strategy.
Yeah. Oh, did you do it? Oh, no.
No. The pilot restored thing. This was something they didn't do in X-Wing, and it's in your options you can change. Like, if you're captured or you're dead, it just automatically lets you restore the pilot. It wasn't supposed to really be part of the original game. It was, if you were dead, that pilot's dead. Restoring them would wipe your score, and they, apparently for the collector's edition, took that out, found it a little too hard. I think that was a smart move.
I think so too. Like, it is a simulation, but at the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun. And like, that's not that fun.
No. I liked how X-Wing did it, where they just cleared your score. I feel like that would have been okay, you know.
Yeah, that seems fair. Some people don't care about score.
No, but it definitely is a nice mark for how well did I do. Did I do better in this game than this one? And gives you that ability to kind of measure your skill, even if it's only against yourself.
What did you think about playing as the Empire? You mentioned you had a hard time with it.
Originally. Yeah, back in... when did we play this? We worked at Software, Etc.
Yeah, it must have been around 98, I guess.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I remember it being more anti-rebel. This did a really good job of, hi, we're the Empire and we're going in to take care of this civil war, and oh, the rebels are getting involved. We should do something about that. It still had that nice bureaucratic Empire feel, and the culty guy made you feel like things weren't always on the up and up. Right. But I didn't find myself feeling like the bad guy.
Right. It's not like really indulgent.
No.
Evil. It's just like understated.
Yeah. Like if you look too closely, you'll probably find it, but as long as you're just following along, it's just part of another military organization.
Yeah, and I like that you're not just always fighting the rebels.
Right.
You're fighting pirates and all kinds of different things. So you don't feel like, you don't feel like you're just, that's the only thing you're doing.
Like you said, it wasn't heavy-handed. It wasn't over the top. It didn't really push it on too thick. One of my problems with it, though, and with this game and the evil, is why was it always playing the rebel music instead of like the Imperial March? It should have done more Imperial March and less rebel theme.
Yeah, especially in the introduction. And I know we can't play it.
We can't play it because copyright strikes.
Yeah, but in the beginning, it like, for one, the music sounds like it's played with like children's instruments. It sounds really bad.
Well, like, from the day.
Yeah.
It wasn't that far off.
Especially in the introduction, but it like abruptly changes the music from the Empire music to the Rebel music or vice versa. It's
Mm-hmm.
really off-putting in the intro. I didn't notice it as much when I was playing the game, probably because I had the music turned pretty low.
Well, and you said you eventually switched to the 98 collectors
Yeah,
one. So I guess what happened is in the original one, they had a far more dynamic music system that would actually change with how the battle was going and what you were fighting.
cool.
And they got rid of it
Why?
to put the music on CD.
Oh,
And then they could just play from the CD, but it meant they had less control over it, and most people weren't noticing anyway. So,
well, that's disappointing.
yeah, and a lot of people will actually point towards you should stay with the original rather than go to the collector's edition. And I was trying to because I want to only play games that are over 20 years old on the stream, and this pushes it just past that at like 19. I mean, it's technicality, but and I see this in the notes. When I tried to play the original, it crashed all the time.
Yeah, I even crashed a few times on the collector's edition, but nowhere near as bad as
No.
the original. And it's like, especially on those hard missions where you've invested so much time and it's finally going well, and then to have it crash, it's like getting kicked in the balls.
It really
it's just
is
terrible.
And I mean,
so disheartening.
It didn't happen often, and I mostly was blaming it on my computer until I saw you post that in the notes too. I just presumed it was me crashing again because that's what my computer does now.
Right.
Um,
No, mine crashed quite a bit.
But yeah, there were a couple times where it was a mission I was just having a hard time with, and it started going my way, and just boop back to desktop. I'm like, oh, not okay.
Oh, I thought you were gonna unload on that Y-wing, and you just got
Smoked. Yep.
You just got annihilated, and you have shields. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man, we're just gonna watch you fly this same mission for an hour. That's pretty much what this game turns into at sometimes, though.
Well, and that's again back what I was saying about like the difficulty is all over the place. I could, if you want me to try another. Is it really still the same mission? Like I can.
Yeah, you've been doing this mission the whole. It's okay.
Like I can do this.
I kind of want to see you like beat it if you ever beat it.
I don't know, to be perfectly honest. I mean, obviously I do at some point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it on for a little bit longer.
Then we can, yeah.
But otherwise I can pick something else further down. Playing the bad guy, secret missions for the Emperor. The cutscenes.
Yes.
The first one I think was the worst. The rest were okay, but the first one was pretty bad. When they're starting to hint that someone's dealing with the rebels.
Yeah. I really, really like the pixel art.
Yeah.
In this game, it's really well done. It's kind of funny sometimes. Like sometimes it's pretty cheesy, but I like it. Like I think they made good choices.
I think they made good choices. I think it's one of the things that keeps the game playable today. Like if they had tried to go 3D graphics on the people there, it wouldn't have worked. The reason I say the first one was the worst is you could tell where they had the background all pixel arted, and then they like tried to digitize someone's face and just glue it over the art to make it move, and it didn't quite line up, and it looked just a little hokey. But other than that, loved all the stuff. Loved the Emperor, loved Vader, loved... don't know how much I want to spoil, but since we're talking about a bunch of stuff here, Thrawn.
Yeah, Thrawn's great.
Yeah, Thrawn's in here, so... I mean, this was back pre-Phantom Menace, so at the time, that was our... that was canon, and that was...
Right. I also, my favorite cutscenes are the ones where you're like between the missions when you do well for the Emperor.
Yes.
Where you get your that's the other thing that's really great. There's a medal system,
Mm-hmm.
so you can go back and look at your progress. And there's it'll tell you really at a high level of detail how well you did just based on the medals you got. But then also, like, you can like pull your sleeve up and you have your tattoos that you get when you do things for the Emperor. And there's some really weird cutscenes where they're like force tattooing you. It's
yeah.
great.
No,
badass.
it really is. And like I didn't realize in the options screen, like you could like hover over your arm to have the sleeve roll back and you could see the tattoo. Like I think I
Yeah.
was mission 6 where I accidentally was in there trying to futz with something else and like, whoa, did I just see that?
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like that.
No, they look in all the menus, look in all the things. They're not even menus. They're just it's part of the game. They blended the interface into the game so well that when people talk about immersive in games, this is what they mean. That
Right.
it's not that there's no menus, it's not that there's no text, it's not that anything like it, but all of it just sort of feels like part of the game. It never gets in your way.
Yeah, the design is really good, and I think it's markedly better in the 1998 version than the 1995 version.
Yes.
Yeah, like it looks much
Yeah.
better. I mean,
Even
even go
no, go
ahead.
ahead. No, after you.
I was gonna say even in the beginning when you're entering your name and choosing your
Yes.
pilot, like that's really good. Like you feel like you're right in there.
I was gonna say even in the manual. Like, did you read the manual at all?
No,
So in the manual, it's welcome pilot. Here's what you're going to be doing for the Emperor, and here's how your craft
sweet.
works. And they really took the time to. What am I doing here? Oh, I think I was messing with the controls because I'm like, I got to do something different. This is just.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Now you're just shooting missiles at and hoping for the best without
Yep.
a lock. This has gone from bad to worse.
Right.
That's okay.
I think this was still early on enough when I didn't understand how to lock. Like it took me a while before I figured out that I needed to go red before I had a lock.
Did you use? There's a missile cam too. Like if you hit F2, it'll let
I
you watch your
should
missile
have.
go in.
There's all kinds of cams and stuff you can do within this game too that I just never played with, and that's sort of a crime because they're interesting. But no, I didn't.
Yeah, I used it sometimes when I was trying to figure out like if my missiles are hitting anyone, and the answer was usually no.
Um, one of the things, speaking of like interface and hitting stuff and targeting things, the radar threw me for a while.
Yeah, the radar's strange.
It's the first time I've ever had red be the good guys.
Right.
So
So the deal with it, I think, is that every faction, like the pirates, have their color.
mhm.
The rebels have a color. So everyone has a color,
Yep.
but your color is red.
Yep.
So that's you just have to live with that.
And I'm pretty sure it's just holdover from like X-Wing, which is sort of what this was based off of.
Yeah.
But you would
That's a good
think
point.
the Empire would not, you know, that someone would be in marketing somewhere going, we should make the bad guys red, not you guys. It's
Right, it's a
confusing to
morale
people.
killer.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I suck at this. In other news, nothing's getting spoiled for people watching at home, you know?
That's true. Yeah, I like the other thing I don't like about the secret missions for the Empire. I don't like that they show up on your goals screen. Like if you're
Yeah.
in the game and you hit G,
Yeah.
it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to beat the mission and get the secondary goals.
Right
I think it would feel more like Cloak and Dagger if those things weren't
there.
necessarily listed and you just had to remember that you talked to that shady guy,
Yeah.
or
Well-
like have it be on a post-it note stuck to your cockpit somewhere.
Yeah. Well,
Inspect that container.
in the secret missions aren't.
Right, they're nowhere.
They're nowhere. You just have to find them, and then they'll appear when you've done them. But
Yeah, I wish the secondary objectives were like that, but it is also really convenient.
no, it is.
To be able to just go in there and then know exactly what your
Yeah.
success criteria are.
Well, and yeah, if you don't want to like even pay attention to those guys in the concourse, you can just boop boop boop, jump right through, pull up your menu, go, okay, these are things I need to do, and out. Um,
Yeah.
although I never found it a pain to go through the briefing. Like,
No, I like the briefing. I thought it was really good.
yeah,
And there's also a really excellent map system that I probably didn't use enough, but it's like got a lot of detail, and you can filter what ships you're seeing and all kinds of stuff. It's really good.
yeah, no, it is. I played with it a little, but mostly when you're in combat, you just kind of want to be in there doing your thing. But there were a couple times where I'm like, okay, how do I get back to where I'm supposed to be? Because I've chased this Y-wing out to hell and gone,
Right.
and now I'm hearing, the mission critical craft is under attack, and I have no idea where it is.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating to me than hearing like the frigate's under attack. Like,
You're a frigate.
I'm in a TIE fighter with no shields, and you're in a frigate, and you're like making this my problem. That's so shitty. Like, just deal with it yourself.
Do your job.
I'm not doing it. Like, I'll let it get destroyed.
No,
annoying.
I know. And that's the worst way to lose, when it's not your fault.
Right. Like, yeah. But it happens.
It does.
It's unforgiving.
No.
But yeah, that my target's target is really useful when you have those objectives that have to survive, because you can just like target it, hit, I think it's A, and it'll target whatever's attacking that ship.
Here
So that's useful.
I was going to say, here you see me hiding behind my wingman.
I see that. Probably a wise choice based on how this has been going.
Yep. I think this is where I decided to slow it down, and like it's the first time I realized, what if I just stopped sort of outside mine range and one at a time shot them with torpedoes?
Yeah, this is a much better, and I'll bet if you had talked to the guys in the concourse, they would have been like,
hey, why don't you do this?
Just stop.
Just stop. Just stop.
Take a deep breath. Fix your fucking shields and shoot some concussion missiles at these guys.
Well, one of the things that really completely I looked back, and it's one of the things that really ruined this mission for me. There's the map screen.
Yeah, it's looking good. Kind of.
Yeah. The first time I flew it, I almost pulled it off. And I just basically gunned in, shot a bunch of stuff up, had a bunch of the mines cleared, everything was going well, and tried to get up close to the capital ship, and it blew me up. I'm like, okay, just do the same thing, but don't get close to the capital ship. And then couldn't pull it off. That, like, no matter how hard I tried, couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, this is really one of the more action-packed missions. Like, I have a lot of missions where I never get targeted.
No.
I never get missile locks, and you're getting it pretty consistently.
Yeah.
So I can't dog on you too hard, because this is a really hard.
No, it is. Like I said, I think this is the mission that gave me the most grief in the game. That after this mission, I never spent 2 nights on a mission again.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd try it 4 or 5 times. A lot of missions I'd get in the first pass. But this mission really is like, okay, you're going to learn how to goddamn fly your craft.
Right.
Or we're going to just sit here until you do.
I really like that the targeting system shows the orientation of the ship in space. That's super cool. It's really useful for getting behind people.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're just laying waste to this Y-wing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking about that.
The hitboxes. Let's talk about how big these hitboxes are.
That goes into like how one of the few places this game is forgiving. Like, I'm hitting that Y-wing, and that laser blast there, those 3 of those didn't hit.
No. I chalked it up to the shields, but really the hitboxes are just like the size of the Great Lakes. They're just huge.
I would chalk it up to the shields until the shields are gone.
Right. Yeah.
No, it's just forgiving with large hitboxes,
and thank God, because otherwise it would be awful.
No, and I don't think most people playing this game who aren't sitting here, thinking like, okay, in a month I've got to come up with stuff to talk about, would be like going through at that level of detail. They'd just be enjoying shooting them, but they are huge hitboxes on the game.
Yeah. My accuracy was generally really terrible anyway, so I don't think it's like a huge advantage for you.
Yeah, no. Oh, this must be the map you're talking about, the one element in the base navigation menu system that blew your mind with its usefulness.
No, that's the mouse cursor being exactly where you need it.
Oh, yeah, no.
I love that. I
Yeah.
don't know why. It's just so good.
Oh,
Yeah, have we covered everything? That
almost. What's your least favorite enemy in the game? We've talked about this but we both know what the answer is.
It's the A-Wing.
It's the A-Wing. Screw the
They're
A-Wings.
so fast. Yeah. And they're surprisingly durable.
Yeah.
But they're so fast.
They're so fast. They take just enough hits to be really annoying. They don't do a lot of damage, but God, getting them... Like, your best bet is to get about, 5 clicks out and target them with a missile.
Yep. That was my strategy, too. Like, stay away from them, because you're not going to get behind them.
Nope.
Easily. Sometimes you will, but, yeah.
Nope. And I can't remember... the last sort of action-y game where I had to put that level of thought into an enemy.
Right. Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, I have to have a completely different strategy for this enemy than I have for this enemy. Oddly, X-Wings I didn't ever have a strategy for. I didn't feel I needed to. They were sort of... You think of them as the main ship from the movies and everything else, but really they were the ship that they're just slow enough that I can kind of... get behind them. They're not packing the force of a Y-wing.
Right. They're very much a middle of the road ship. That's one thing I'll say for the Rebels and everyone but the Empire is that they really protect their pilots better than the Empire, because when you have no shields, you just die so quick. Right.
Well, you have no shields, and most of the Empire ships don't have hyperspace.
Right.
So,
yeah. Did you call for reinforcements ever?
After mission 7161, whatever it is, where they're telling you like you need to start calling for reinforcements. That was when I'm like, oh, we can call for reinforcements. Yeah. I have made some of these missions way too hard on myself.
Right. And what is it, like Shift S?
Shift S. And are you sure? Hit space. Yes.
Like, send them all. Send them all. Like,
can I do it again? Let's
just help me.
Right.
Yeah. The keyboard, like, there's a lot of keys in this game. So if you play print up,
yeah.
Or if you hit K, I think in the game, because you use a surprising amount of them, but they're not very intuitive. Like Shift S for reinforcements. I never would have guessed that.
No. Yeah, I probably Shift S for send reinforcements.
Oh, I thought it was like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
That's how I remembered it.
That's a good one. That's a good way to remember it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that you have to lead these guys too. That is really
well, and
takes skill.
This goes back to my Elite comment of like in Elite, because they're trying to do the physics simulator, you push a button on your laser and the laser goes all the way out at the speed of light. So you're not leading anything. You don't end up in a dogfight as much as you end up jousting. It's more fun. I know it's not as realistic, but it's way more fun.
Yeah, and it feels good when your targeting receptacle turns green, because like you got them.
Yep. Yeah, you have this moment of just really like, oh, you're mine now, asshole.
Yeah. Now I have you. I found myself saying that out loud.
Okay, I'm going to throw the image up, because I'm doing an overlay image this time, kind of hide some of the editing behind the scenes I normally do. Cool. That looks just crappy and unprofessional in the other ones. But I guess final thoughts on TIE Fighter?
I would say play TIE Fighter. Like, I get it. It's going to be cheap. And it gives you something that no other Star Wars experience will give you. Like, there's tons of arcade games. There's tons of you can get whatever the latest Star Wars game is, but it will not give you what this game gives you, and that's the feeling that you're actually like what it would probably be like to fly a TIE fighter.
Right. One of the things that got me thinking about this game even before we played it is there's that new Battlefield Star Wars game. And everybody was complaining, like, okay, even in the space battles, the TIE fighters are on rails. You're on rails and you're just flying along and you can kind of aim the cannons, but you're not flying a TIE fighter.
Yeah, it's simple, and I get why it's simple because it's a PlayStation game. You know, you have your controller and you have 8 buttons or whatever. But like, you got to play this on the PC, and you have to print up your old school keyboard reference and manage your targeting and your systems, and it all comes together and makes a really great
and it
game.
Sounds like a lot of work, but it's not. You get in the habit, you get in control, things just click in front of you. When people talk about, and I know, like, when I talk to some, I don't want to call them kids because they're in their 20s, but people younger than me.
Brutal, yeah.
I'm reaching that age where I'm like, oh, you're under 30, you're a kid. And I hated when people said that to me. So anyway.
Yeah.
when an old fart like me goes, games were better back in the day, this is the game we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're not going to get this. You're not going to get this anywhere else but an old PC game.
Yep. This is the game we're talking about, where it gives you such control and such freedom and puts the burden on you but doesn't make you feel oppressive. This is the game. So give it a shot. Next month, Shard of Spring?
Yeah, that's an SSI, right? Role-playing game? Did you play Shard of the Spring?
No.
Me neither. This is going to be one of those rare cases where there's no nostalgia for either of us involved, and we can be objectively critical of it.
No nostalgia. I played a little bit of Demon's Winter, which was its sequel.
And I played Demon's Winter.
Yeah, I didn't even get to a dungeon in Demon's Winter. I mean, I literally turned it on, looked at the graphics, tried to figure out what was going on, couldn't, backed out. I think this is going to... This has potential to be the first game where we come back and go, so did you like it?
Right, yeah, because you take away the nostalgia and all you have is...
Exactly what it is. So
exactly. Yeah, and that's a game from, what, 1980-something, probably?
Yeah, well, I know the sequel came out in 88. It came out the same year as Pool of Radiance, so that's why Demon's Winter just got buried. Let me look it up.
It's weird that we both played Demon's Winter, which is the sequel.
Yep.
And not the original.
1986. My big problem is until 1988, all my computer games were played at friends' houses.
Gotcha.
So they had to have it, and that's the only way it worked. Until then, it was an Atari 2600. And
are you going to play it on Commodore or Apple? Is it on Commodore?
Yeah, it's on Apple, Commodore, and DOS. I will probably play it in DOSBox.
Yeah, I'll probably do the same.
Just because, I mean, I would consider Apple, but knowing what we were going to pick this week, I went to try and get it set up so I could start playing tonight, and my Commodore version just kept crashing. So, we'll just go with DOS if I can get it to work. Predictions, since neither one of us have any clue what we're getting into?
I think we're either going to be really pleasantly surprised or we're going to quit within a week. And the video is going to be 5 minutes long and we'll just be like, this sucks, I hate it.
Okay, so with that being the concept, backup game Dark Lord, like if either one of us can't stomach this. Like, we call each other and are like,
Yeah.
I can't. I just can't. We're playing Dark Lord. We'll talk a little bit about Shard of Spring, and we'll switch to Dark Lord for the end of the recording, because I am a little worried.
Yeah. It's fair enough, but I don't think either of us is going to want to be the one that taps out on the game.
No, absolutely not.
So we'll see what happens.
But if both of us are like, oh, how's your game going?
Right. Then we'll know.
Right.
All right, cool.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Talk to you in a month.
Thanks.